I am so glad that you could join us this weekend. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I was excited when I got the invitation from Kristen. And so I helped out, I think, last year by donating my books. And then so this year, I guess I'm donating me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I loved your books.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I meant to read them sooner. I actually finished this morning because we had a family emergency this week. So I finished reading the second one this morning and was just blown away. Yeah, but for those in our audience who haven't read your books, do you want to tell us about them a little bit?
Oh, sure. The first one, they're both memoirs, and they chronicle my life that I was involved with abuse from age 11 until I finally kind of worked my way out of that when I was in my 50s. So the first one, The Success is the Best Revenge, is the one that's all about the abuse, and it talks about what it was like starting at age 11, how it impacted me. My stepfather sexually molested me. I went to the one person in the whole world we all think we can trust, and that's our mother. And she didn't believe me. And throughout the rest of my life, because she didn't believe me, I was worthless and not worthy of love and that sort of thing. So, you know, the betrayal was huge from her. And that impacted all my choices throughout life, my relationship choices. So I would go from one relationship that was not so good to another relationship that was not so good, not really figuring it out yet. And the first book, the success book, is very raw. It's very graphic. It's very honest and authentic. I figured since I was going to be writing this book, it took me 5 years to write it. But since I was writing a book about the horrors of domestic violence and abuse, it needed to be real. And I wanted, I guess, other women, men, and children who might be reading it may be triggered, but also know that she survived. And this is how she survived. So that leads me into my second book, Sarah's Redemption. And that is the book all about healing. How did I heal? How did I overcome it? Because, as you know, leaving an abusive relationship is not the end. That's really only the beginning. And that was 25 years ago for me. And I'm still triggered by certain sounds, by certain songs, by certain smells. To this day, I cannot sit in a room with my door or my back to the door. So I'm hoping, my goal in writing them was to reach out and I guess demonstrate or show or help lift a curtain to women who may still be stuck and afraid and not know how to get out, as to some kind of a help now. And I've gotten emails from readers who have told me that how much they appreciated my books.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was real pleased to hear that. Yes, very much so.
That is awesome. Yeah. I mean, I have to say that I'm a survivor of domestic abuse myself, and it was almost 2 decades ago that I got out. And like you, there's still certain things that trigger me and can cause a panic attack when, you know, I didn't even think about it, but you know, something, a smell or a sound.
Yeah. And it gets in your stomach, and it gets that feeling back of fight or flight, you know. Yeah. Do I escape? Do I leave? What do I do? And so by the end of it all, you're just frozen in place with them. And, you know, healing from something like this is not linear. It's not, you know, I'm out today, so obviously I'm healed. 25 years ago, I left, and I think healing takes all the rest of my life to be able to do that. But I think the most important thing is to be aware of what some of those triggers are, and know that you're not in that situation anymore. I think that's what helped me most was, okay, yeah, that happened. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, okay, I'm not in that situation anymore, kind of thing. That
Yeah.
very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I was wondering how much of the books is truth and how much of it is a little fictionalized. Is there any that's fictionalized?
no,
Nothing.
it's 100% truth, and I had to do it that way. It's not a biography. The difference between a biography and a memoir is biography has to be factual. A memoir kind of gives you some leeway if your memory doesn't kick in. But
Okay.
yeah, but both memoirs are about me and what happened and how I went through it, and how I left when I left, how that healing journey went on. So it's 100% factual. It's all me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Including Kitty.
And including what? Sorry?
Kitty, the
Kitty.
cat.
I get a lot of questions about my kitty. That she took really good care of me, as I mentioned in my book. She could sense when I really needed to have some care and attention, and she would give it to me. Like I'd wake up in a nightmare, and she'd be right there purring right beside me, just letting me know that she was taking care of me, she was there, and that I was safe. And so the night that I had just come to the conclusion that because of all the old tapes of what my mom had put in me, I'm no good, I'm worthless, I'm not lovable, plus the abuse, that I took my cat and the tape that had the song I wanted played at my obituary down to the garage, and closed the door and turned the car on. That was really real. And that is horrifying to me today, because the one vision that I had throughout that, trying to commit myself suicide and taking my cat with me, was the vision of my son coming, and then thinking through, what am I doing to him? I want him to be proud of me. I don't want him to think that I, was a coward and I left because of my cowardice. I needed to face it. And so that helped save me and Kitty. And in fact, Kitty, she did get cancer in her jaw, in her bone, and she passed on. And I have her in a box, and she has gone everywhere with me. When I left my island to escape and to heal, to go to the mid, she went with me. When I went back to my island, she went with me. And now that I'm in Texas, she's with me too. So she's always going to be a part of me. It was that important. And I do think that message that was sent to me about my son was sent from a higher up, that it was like an epiphany realization. I've had 2 of those in my life throughout healing from this. And it was very strong. And so I bless him every day for helping to save my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have to admit, reading the first book, I was really afraid that Thomas was gonna hurt the cat. That was like I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna hurt the cat to get at her. And
Yeah.
I was really glad that didn't happen.
Yeah. Me too. Because there were times I was worried as well,
I'm sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but I think that night when you did plan on leaving this world and taking Kitty, I think that's a good example. A lot of women stuck in these situations feel that is the only way to get out.
I do. Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
And it's really sad.
It is. It's you're so hopeless. You have no hope left. You have no self-esteem left, because it's all been beaten out of you and been told to you you're not worth anything. So why not? What am I in this world for?
Right.
It just kind of comes to that conclusion for me. But no more. no more. I'm really glad I didn't complete the act, kind of thing.
I'm really glad that you didn't too. And
Yeah.
I want everyone watching this to know that there are resources out there. You're not alone. Reach out to your local resources. There are hotlines that you can call. They will help you get out. You're not worthless, no matter who is telling you that you are.
And you bring up a good point, because for so long I kept my voice silent. In most of these cases, whether it be men or women, because men are being abused as well, we were either too embarrassed, or for me, it was a humiliation to tell my friends that this was going on. And so the key is to not be silent. Find your voice, no matter how small that voice is. Find your voice, because I want everyone to know you are seen and you are heard, and you are important enough to be seen and heard and to make a difference in your life. And like, as you said, there's a lot of people and agencies that are just waiting for you to make that call.
Yes, I live in a very small city, and we even still have, houses, women's houses, and domestic abuse hotlines and help out there.
Exactly. In fact, I read how they always have these memes on Facebook and Instagram. There was one that I think is really important, that if you're in a house and you're afraid to make a phone call 911 and say you want to order a pizza. And then just go through, and the dispatcher will ask you, is there someone in the house that's going to hurt you? And you'll go, yes, I want pepperoni and olives on it. So it's like they won't know. And by the time you get to the pepperoni and olives, there's someone on their way to help you. And so I think that's really important to know, that you can do that and help you get out of that situation.
Yes, and your abuser won't know. They'll think you're ordering a pizza.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, we're going to have pizza tonight. How about that? Yeah. And so when the doorbell rings, that's not the pizza guy.
Good.
Really, really, really. But the first book is so raw and so honest, that I was presenting to a book club, and one of the ladies said, I read Success is the Best Revenge, and I got so mad that I picked up the book and I threw it on the ground and said, you went back to him? Because that's the modality, that's the routine. We keep going back and back and back. I think the statistic is that it takes 7 times of leaving before it finally catches. But then she said, but then I picked it up because I had to know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah, and I think when you're not someone who's been in that situation yourself, you don't realize how much of a hold that abuser has on your emotions, on your life. They've separated you usually from all of your support groups, your family, your friends. You really think they're all that you have.
Right. And it's your reality. I kind of take a look at it. I used to do some courses around alcoholism. And one of the things that I learned was that when that behavior is modeled in your home, you just think it's normal behavior. So you might go spend the night with your girlfriend and say, oh, this is kind of weird. Nobody's drinking or fighting. What's going on here? And so when that is your reality, that's what kept me going back into those kind of relationships. I just thought it was normal. This is the way it had to be, until it got to the point I couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, I'm really glad that you found your happily ever after in the second book. That made me so happy.
Well, thank you. I was very happy. Bob was Ken in the book, but Bob was the first man I met that treated me as if I were a human being with, choices and decisions to make on my own, which was, the best. Unfortunately, he passed away after we moved to Texas. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, but he gave me a piece of life that I would have never had before, and I cherish it. Yeah, yeah. And now I found another man, Dean, who treats me as I should be treated, which is nice.
Perfect.
So really, before I had no idea there were men that would, treat a woman, as a human being, I should say.
Right.
Yeah. And I was fortunate enough to have two in my life. So
that is amazing.
Yeah.
I felt very blessed when I found Steve, because that's exactly the same. I didn't realize that there were nice guys out there like that for me.
Yeah. It's amazing. And they are out there. You just got to, what do they say? You got to sift through the sand or whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen says, Kathy, that's so true. If you would have asked me if I was an abused kid, I would have said no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if that's what's modeled in your home and you don't know any different,
right?
You don't know that you're being abused.
And I think women my age, it's very true too, because in the generation that we grew up, kids were told to be quiet, to be seen, not heard. If they had a complaint, too bad, kind of thing. And then, in fact, my mom told me as I was reaching adulthood that what I should probably do is just go and get a teaching certificate in case I get married and my marriage fails. So, I mean, the norms back then were so different than they are now, as far as people going. But the shame, the fear, the humiliation, all of that is still there for anyone that's involved in that kind of a relationship, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. And I know you do a lot of advocacy work.
I do. Yeah. I do things like this and my books, and I talk to people about the signs, the warning signs of an abusive, because Thomas, he was so charming. He was so, he was so compassionate toward me in the beginning. And I look at it as, once he got me hooked in his web, everything changed. Everything changed. So knowing that, and knowing that person that you're feeling, wow, this guy's really nice and neat, but what's behind it, type of thing. So I do a lot of that. And through my writing, of course, I have a Substack blog kind of thing where I invite people to talk about things like this. And I talk about my experience to just show that it happens, because so many people are in denial, that it does happen. And mostly it happens behind closed doors. And those that are behind closed doors, what it's happening to, have lost their voice. So how do I help people find their voice and find themselves again through that? But I'm really excited about something that has just came up over the weekend. And I was in a what they call a power play workshop in Phoenix. And it was for authors, but it was not about writing or the craft of writing or marketing or anything like that. It was, how to find yourself in your business. And it really surprised me when I found that I needed to start a nonprofit to help abused people find their voices. And what this nonprofit, it's just in the beginning phases, but what I want this nonprofit to do is to raise enough money to help survivors and victims once they have left the relationship. Because I remember when I left, I was penniless. I didn't have a dime to my name. I didn't have a job. I was 3 months away from being homeless and didn't know where to turn, because I was still in the mode of, I can't tell anybody.
Right.
that this was happening to me. So it was kind of like I was in my own little whirlpool of misery. But when victims and survivors leave the relationship, they need to have support. And it's just not financial support, but it could be a lot financial. I need to pay the electric bill, don't have any money. So to help people with that, I have no future planned. What do I do to support myself and my kids? Well, maybe we can look at education. How can we get you educated enough so that you are self-sufficient and you're, giving a good life for your kids and you're giving a good role model to them. So it's those kinds of things that I want to do to help provide that, because there's a lot of agencies that I could work with. And the agencies are understaffed and they're underfunded, as we all know. And so maybe my nonprofit will be kind of a gift to the other nonprofits that are struggling to help people or help the abused people get back on track. So I'm really excited about that. And one of the things we did this weekend, I'm sure you've heard of Shark Tank, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that was the thing. They wanted us to develop a 5-minute pitch, which don't even pitch my books because I'm not good at pitching, but develop a 5-minute pitch. And then there was about 30 of us at this workshop. And so you'd walk up to the microphone. The sharks were sitting in a semicircle in front of you, and you walk up to the microphone to the Shark Tank theme song, and then you begin. And so I did, and my pitch was unanimously voted as the winner, and I received some social media support through them for having done that. So now I'm really excited because now I think I've got support to help me make this happen. It would really mean a lot to me to have that happen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Well, I do have to say that when Sarah got the notification that Thomas had died,
Mm-hmm.
I had conflicting emotions because, of course, I was actually really happy. But then I felt bad for being happy that another human had passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was so glad that he couldn't come after you anymore.
Right. And that was because he kept threatening to, he was in the UK. He was a UK citizen. And so I had worked really hard to make sure his passport was red flagged. And where I lived, I was close to the Canadian border at the time. And so if he was to leave the UK, he could have gone to Canada and then crossed over the border. So I had to work to make sure that it was red flagged to go to Canada and Mexico, both, any kind of entrance into the US. And to do that, I worked through my senator. And I was fortunate enough to get hooked up with one of his aides who had been through a similar situation. And so she was very adamant about helping me, and she had all kinds of good ideas and that sort of thing. So that happened, and I knew he couldn't come back. Well, you never know for sure, right? But even so, when he found out that his passport had been red flagged, then he started threatening by sending his thugs over to hurt me, which was terrifying. Every little sound, at night, every little sound, making sure the doors and the windows and everything was locked up, do it 3 or 4 times just to be sure, and that sort of thing. So on the one hand, I was relieved when he passed. On the other hand, as you said, he was a human being, and I had some empathy because who knew? I didn't know what his past was like. I did not know what his relationship with his father was like. And I have always wondered if that relationship might have, turned him into an abuser or just led him down the path of that he thought was right. I just don't know, how that happened. I do know he was very narcissistic.
Yes.
as most abusers are. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because they don't have any empathy for any other people at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You
And
can't abuse someone like that and have empathy for them.
no, and because it's always my fault. It was always my fault. It's always the victim's fault. I remember sitting on the sofa one night back on Whidbey Island. He was here for 3 months. And I remember he'd been drinking all day. And I remember sitting on the sofa, and I could feel it. I knew where he was headed with the way he was starting to talk, the tone of his voice, the shape of his body, And I put my hand on his knee and I said, let's not go there tonight. Well, that was the wrong thing to say, because then I was upended. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible nightmare of a night that night. So you never know how to respond to them to take away the threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they get it into their head that they're angry at you for whatever reason, there's not really anything you can do to calm them down at that point.
Right. And you can do all the psychological whatever and say, well, he's not really angry at me. He's angry at himself for some reason, but that does not take away his responsibility or her responsibility.
Does not. He's still making a choice to abuse another human.
Yes, exactly. And that's the key, the choice.
Right.
Which means also I had choices. I just didn't know that at the time.
It's hard. It's really hard to see when you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. That it is just really hard when you're in it. That's all that you can see.
And when I was in it, it was really weird. To back up a little bit, before him, I had been involved with domestic violence advocacy. So I knew the signs and I knew the resources, and I was very aware and knowledgeable. And yet I fell into his web. And so that was part of the humiliation on my part. I didn't want to go to my friends and say, I kind of need help here, because I knew that I had walked into it, so I started blaming myself on that end. And so it's just hard, that humiliation, that the fear of reprisal, the humiliation, the friends who are there, is just not letting them be there for you. In fact, I had one really, really good friend. She's in the book, the first book as well. She's the realtor in the book.
Yes.
You remember? Yeah. And I think this is in the book too. She came up to me one day, up to the house that we had bought together in his name only. Stupid woman, number whatever. And she just came in. She's a very blunt person, very to the point. She came in, she sat down, she said, "You tell me what's going on." Just like that. And I looked at her, and all these things go through your head. What do you mean? What's going on? Does she know? She can't know, kind of stuff. But she helped me speak about it. That was the hardest thing, to speak about it to other people. And she helped me walk me through, some decisions and choices that I need to make. So even if you have just one friend, that's all it takes. But trust that friend will help you, and not embarrass you, put you down for it, or anything like that.
If they're really your friend, they're not going to say, "I told you so." They're not going to make you feel bad. They're your friend. They're going to just be there for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But do you have any advice for someone on the outside looking at someone who is being abused, like a friend? How can they approach it with their friend? Is there something they can do, something they can say to help?
I think empathy is hugely needed here. And so get rid of any judgment you might have before approaching a person that you think maybe experienced some of this, and just ask open-ended questions and say, how's everything going on in your life? I've noticed you've been kind of down lately. Is something going on? Those kinds of questions may help bring them out. If that doesn't bring them out at that point in time, they now know you care enough. They now know you've opened a door for them. And so, they can go back. So I wouldn't recommend say, hey, is David abusing you? Is he hitting on you? That I wouldn't recommend doing that, because that will put the barriers up. In my opinion, they will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, you can kind of drop little hints like I just told you about the pizza thing. You're maybe at the coffee or the water cooler and say, hey, did you know what I saw today? That you can do, the people do this. They call the 911, they pretend that they're ordering a pizza and they come. I mean, just little things like that to help them start to think about their situation. Because like I said, depending on how deep they are into this relationship, they're not going to see it from a perspective that they're not to blame for what's happening to them, and that they have a way to get out. Because that's where I was, deeply into it. So I hope that answered the question.
It did, definitely.
Uh-huh.
Now, I would also like to talk about your writing process. How did it work for you? Did you use an outline, or are you a seat of the pantser and just start writing?
Well, the first book, I mentioned it took me 5 years to write that. And I wrote it from as I am the person. So from the first person, this is me, it's happening to, which it was me, and it did happen to me. And I couldn't write it. I just couldn't get through some of those hard experiences, the hard times that I had to relive to make sure that the book felt real and this really happened. I wanted my reader to feel that kind of an emotion. And I wasn't able to do that coming from Kathy. And so, I mean, I went through draft after draft after draft. And finally, one day, Sarah came and sat on my shoulder. And she says, you know what? Don't worry about it. Let me go through all that. You just write it and I'll live through it. So I did. And once I did that, the words flowed. And, the first 2 books were of my lived experience. So I knew how it was going to start and I knew how it was going to end in both books. So I really didn't need an outline. So you might say that I pantsed through it, which means just sit down and write, so I did that. And then, sorry, I've got allergies and they're horrible. So excuse me.
Oh, it's been a rough fall for allergies here too.
Oh, just awful. I'm going to take a cough drop. So now I got to sneeze. Sorry.
That's okay.
I hate this. Anyway, let me see if I can get through this. So the first 2 books I pantsed, and Sarah told my story and she did a beautiful job, I think. And then I'm a big mystery, murder mystery reader. And that's what I want to write from now forward, because my 2 memoirs are done, right? So I really struggled to find, I wanted to bring Sarah into my murder mysteries, only my murder mysteries are fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I worried about my readers thinking I was betraying them. Were your first 2 books really real if you're going to have taken Sarah into this mystery? And how I made the connection, when you stop to think about it, in any abuse situation, what do you have? You have fear, you have lies, you have secrets, you have pain, you have all of that in an abusive relationship. Mysteries are the same. You have secrets, you have lies, you have fear, you have pain. So that's how I'm bridging my memoirs into my mysteries with Sarah. And now it's different, though. Getting back to your question, it's different because I don't really have, I don't know how to start and end like I did with my memoirs. And so I'm doing some outlining and some pantsing. So it's kind of a mix of both. Mostly pantsing, though, because I never was good at making an outline. I hate to say it. I'll make an outline and then it'll go out the window. So it's mostly,
you spend all that time making the outline and then you don't even use it.
I know. So, but I'm having fun with it. The third book should be hopefully out by the end of the year. And Sarah has found a murder mystery in a new town that she's moved to, and nobody wants to talk about it. And it appears there's more than one murder. Is it by the same guy or the same person? And how come the deputy won't talk to her about it? So she's kind of on her own trying to solve this thing or figure it out. So it's kind of a fun way of me writing my mysteries. Hopefully.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love murder mysteries. I'm looking forward to it. Yep.
Finally got it out.
There you go.
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
Everybody's going to see me coughing half.
We all have allergies.
Yeah. So, so I just think the freedom to write is finding the best way for you to get those words on paper. Like with my two books, I had to give it to Sarah. That was my freedom to write. My freedom to write with my mystery is because I love Sarah, and a lot of my readers love Sarah, so they kind of want to know, okay, what's next for Sarah? So, so I'm really having fun with that now, taking her into a whole new realm.
Amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and there'll be, all the signs of domestic violence. I mean, she is still going to have, some triggers as she goes through with this. So I'm still taking that theme with me with that. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So she sounds like she'll be a real character.
Yes.
Sometimes, real characters have their flaws, like triggers and a backstory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. She's just a nosy one now.
Aren't we all a little nosy, to be honest?
I think curiosity. What is that saying? Curiosity killed the cat. Satisfaction brought her back. Yeah.
Well, Kristen wants to know, what do you think are the benefits of being part of a writer's organization?
What? Now, say that again. Would you mind?
What do you think are the benefits of being part of a writer's organization?
Oh, that is huge. It's having the support. It's having a sounding wall to bounce ideas off of and direction off of. It's an education in itself in learning about how other authors approach their writing, but going back to that, their marketing too, because marketing is a big unknown out there. What works, what doesn't work. And I've got some lifelong friendships from belonging to the one that I love the most is my Women's Fiction Writers Association. And they're so supportive. And they have programs like a mentorship program. They have critique programs. And they have, I think, 3 awards per year that they give out. And then they have retreats. My favorite one is going to Albuquerque for that retreat, although I didn't go this year. But I just think the benefits are tremendous in your growth as an author for yourself too. Plus, turn that around, you can be helpful to other authors as well. So yeah. I think it is important.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds amazing. Do you have any advice for someone who's starting out trying to be an author?
God, that's a big, huge question, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, I see, Kristen. We were together in Albuquerque and shopping at Barbara's. Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Um, just starting out, I think you can take all the craft courses and workshops that you think you need, but the bonus is being with other authors and learning from their successes and their mistakes. I've attended a lot of writers workshops. Some were really good, and some were, why did I waste my money on that one? Depends on what you walk away with. So listening to other authors say, ask them, well, what do you think about this workshop? Would you think this would be a good one for me? And that's part of that mentorship program. So seek other authors out, whether it's within an organization or within your local writers group, because we have several here in San Antonio. And just start listening and asking your questions and maybe sharing your work so that you can get some really good constructive feedback on that and be open to the feedback. That's a learned skill too, being open to feedback. I mean, mostly writers don't say your writing sucks, but they can give you some really good pointers to make it a little bit better.
That's good. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, and I think, the main thing is believe in yourself. You can do this. Yes, you can. You can do this. I don't care where you are at in your life. If you have the passion and the desire to put words on paper, just do it.
Perfect. That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Nike says that, don't they? Nike.
Yes. I'm a firm believer in people who are afraid to fail. A lot of times they don't even start.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather fail because I tried than fail because I never even bothered to try.
Exactly. And it's always like they ask the question. If you don't ask the question, the answer is always no, right? So just give it a shot. And the thing I want them to know that was important for me to learn was that your story matters. Story is a great way to connect with other people and open up lines of understanding and communication. So you might feel small, you might feel invisible, but your voice is a gift. So get that down on paper. There's someone out there waiting for your story. Believe me, there is someone out there waiting for it. So do it. And there's no perfect moment to start either. Just, start. Even if you only have like 15 minutes a day, just sit down and jot down some words and get yourself going.
Yeah.
And
I'm a big my big flaw is that I'll say, I'll start Monday, because you should always start something new on a Monday. And then something will happen, so I don't get to, and then I'll be like, well, next Monday.
Yeah, right.
It has to be a Monday.
Monday coming up, right? So what Mondays are going to be today? Yeah, but vulnerability for me is strength, and that's when I wrote my 2 books. I needed to open up and be vulnerable with what I was writing and let people know me and the struggles that I went through to find my voice. My voice was silent for so long that now that I find it, you can't shut me up. But no, anyway. But I think that's being vulnerable is what the readers had said to me is what that saved them. I think the honesty in your writing is important too. It invites, honesty invites connection more than polishing your writing, I think.
Yes, so I definitely appreciated that in your writing. You didn't shy away from the hard things.
No. And it was hard. It was like living all those nightmares again. But I'm glad I did it. It was cathartic. it was part of my healing process. It's finding that voice again. Don't be silent. Let people know what this is like when you're in the midst of it. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And the new book that you have coming out, your murder mystery, are you
Yeah.
going to be self-publishing or are you seeking out traditional publishing?
Well, with my first book, I was already in my 70s, and I thought, I can't wait for an agent to find me. I'll be dead before it goes on the shelves. So the first one I did a hybrid publishing, and the second one, Sarah's Redemption, I self-published, and I will continue to self-publish from here on out because It's not that hard. When I went through the hybrid publishing, I did that because I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. So I learned a lot through that. So now I feel real comfortable doing it. And my new book that's coming out is Body Under the Blue Bonnets. So it's kind of
Body Under the Blue Bonnets. I will be watching for it.
Okay. I hope so. I'll let you know when it comes out.
Yes, please do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It'll
Absolutely.
be.
I think a lot of authors are choosing to go the way of self-publishing now. You keep so much more control.
Exactly.
I feel like that's a huge benefit to self-publishing is control over your cover and the content and the marketing.
Oh, it's huge. I mean,
you get everything.
Well, they don't, when you have a publisher or an agent, the agent just finds a publisher. Right. And the publisher these days don't help you with that marketing and all of that. So you're on your own anyway. And so I just find that the marketing is my worst. I write well, but I don't market well. So finding out, and that's another thing a writer's group can give you as well. Some avenues. What's the best way to market this? What are the tools I can use to market this? That kind of stuff. So getting back to that question that you have. Yeah. So yeah, I even have my own publishing imprint. It's Whidbey Island Publishing, and you probably recognize that from my books.
I do.
That's my home. That's where my heart is. Even though I'm here in Texas, Whidbey Island will always be my home.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 10 minutes left. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask or that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I will kind of want to get back to, I guess, people who are maybe anybody who's maybe thinking about maybe I could write a book. Mm-hmm. Maybe even if it's a short story or maybe it's an essay, but writing something. Now there's all kinds of courses out there. There's creative writing courses. There's an MFA, Masters of Fiction. I don't know. I don't have any of those credentials, but I've educated myself by going and talking to other authors and doing some reading and doing some workshops. But I think storytelling, no matter what story you tell, is a great way to connect. My tagline is From Surviving to Storytelling, Memoirs That Heal, Mysteries That Reveal. And so that's what I write, not just for me, but for those who can't get there yet, as far as the abuse, to help them see that at least someone got out and she's doing okay. So one challenge I'd like to give you and your audience is to share one piece of your truth to someone who will listen. Because when stories move from silent places to connection, that's when the healing begins. And so that would be my challenge to you and your listeners today.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Well, we are currently at $805 in donations.
Oh, that is exciting. That is awesome. Yeah.
And we only just started. This is only hour 2 of our weekend.
Yay.
Yes. So it is very exciting for anyone watching. If you want to donate, At the bottom of the screen is a scroll that will take you to our website, and then there's a link there. There, the top of the screen that way. There's also a QR code that you can scan that will do the same.
And a lot of people have asked, how can I have something going on tonight, but I really like to listen to what you say. So I've given them your YouTube link.
Thank you.
And I will put that up even more now that I'm done with my piece.
Right.
And they can see what you do and how you do it and why you do it. So that would be good.
Perfect.
So I appreciate what you're doing, especially you're donating to alcohol recovery. Is that?
Yeah. So Options Saves Lives is our charity this year. Mm-hmm. And they help people who are struggling with alcohol addiction.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I appreciate you and your organization for doing that.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, the videos, all of our interviews are saved on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, for the weekend, we do them all in big chunks. So it'll be the one video for the whole day. But then after the weekend is over, we do separate them down into individual interviews.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know. That way you can kind of concentrate and focus on, like the gentleman that's before me. I just got at the tail end of his interview. And so I'm curious to what he was all about, so I'll go back and take a look at that once we get that done. So, So thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Kristen, for thinking of me again. I appreciate it. It's a great organization, and I'm just very proud and honored to be part of it. So thank you.
Otherworldly Fundraising is a group of friends who decided to use our nerdy talents to help others. Our charity this year is Options Save Lives, which helps individuals fully recover from alcohol use disorder. Thank you for joining us this weekend and for donating to this worthy charity.